Good morning, Beth. I just got back from a walk earlier this morning. I'm back in the desert and it was a cold morning, and I was walking and was getting so much around being connected and being separate,
Hmm.
and was receiving messages from the other side that one of the biggest travesties that we have in our world today is the sense of separation. We're never separate. We know that, but we can feel separate. We can feel not connected. And then we start to believe it. We start to believe these illusions that we are not connected to something, which makes us less connected to ourselves and leads us down a path that we feel like we get lost in a desert.
Hmm. Well, we've talked about so much how you and I are connected that you will think of something and I'm writing it in that moment, or we'll think of the same thing at the same moment. And just so happens that I was connecting with Clementine this morning
Mhm.
as the last letter, question and answer communication that I've been doing with all the animals for our second book. And that's what she was talking about. And
Mm.
what she shared with me was something I have always heard, but it sunk in. And that's what the animals do for me. I mean, everybody's got their thing, but the animals for me really help to hone in things that I've already known and I can feel them. But so what she was saying was that separation is the cause of everything. It's the
Mm.
cause of disease. It's the
Mm.
cause we've separated from ourselves. We've separated from our history. It's a result of trauma. We can separate from who we truly are. We can blame ourselves. We can feel responsible. We can feel guilty when we're not. We're separated from the truth and who we are originally, that we're higher souls who come into the body. So what she shared, Clementine, was there's too much attachment going on to things and people, which is not connection. It's an illusion of connection. So we're attached to other people in an unhealthy way. We're attached to stuff. We're attached to a story
Mhm.
that's
Mhm.
not the truth. Someone tells us something over and over, or we heard something, or we've told ourselves a story. And it's in releasing these attachments and just looking at some of them and asking, is is this is this a healthy attachment, or it's really all attachments? Some are some you can become more attached in a very unhealthy way, but attachments in general are not connections. But it's what we've spent our time doing here in the physical world. And
Mhm.
once we get onto that and we start to release our attachments, there's a space. And then we think something's wrong. We think
Mhm. Mhm.
we feel depressed or we're bored or we're not the same and we get uncomfortable. But that space is the releasement of the attachment. It's really normal when you are releasing attachments, and then you can reconnect or
Mhm.
connect in a healthy way.
And it's in that space that is so uncomfortable that most people don't want to sit in that space
Yep.
of being anxious or being doubt or whatever that uncomfortable feeling is. And you're so right that that is actually when you're getting onto it. But you almost like have to cross the finish line. You're almost there on the race.
Yeah.
And you just have to hang in there, because what comes when you cross the finish line is that reconnection, is that closes that gap of that separation, or you let go of things that you're talking about, that you've been told, that you've told yourself over and over. Is it really true? Is it really true that whatever that is, that isn't true, and that the things that actually create even greater separation, that you feel like there's no way to close that gap.
Yeah.
And I think it's also seeking something outside. You're talking about attachments. We attach something We put energy, we put value on that. So we're looking for something on the outside to affirm something that we need, that we feel that we need on the inside. When it's really on the inside that we need to go to, not looking for that affirmation, that validation, whatever that is on the outside.
Yeah, that's where we break them. That's where we break the attachments, but we have to notice them first. And what does that feel like when we're attached? It feels like we can't stop doing something. You could call it a habit. It feels like codependency, where we need to fix everything else that's going on. It can feel like addiction, that we're attached to distracting ourselves from our feelings. It can look like anxiety. It's all a distraction from the truth, and we can erode our self-worth with believing those stories, and that these attachments are real and that's all there is. And then we start to, why do I feel so unworthy? Because we believe things that were untrue, that we either inferred on our own, or that somebody said to us. And we then we need to distract more, and we need more and more and more attachments. And it's not that we don't want to create abundance. And when we started our company called Creating Abundance Project, it's more the reason and the what's behind the whatever it is that you are looking for or want. It could be with anything. You want a bigger house. Is this so you can, are you forming an attachment to what that looks like on the outside, so you're more worthy? Or you want a bigger house because you want more space, or there's a lot of reasons. Do you want a relationship because you want to prove that you're worthy, that somehow being alone you have the story that you're unworthy? Or do you want a relationship because you want a deep connection with another human being? There's a difference, and we can get caught up, and get confused and mixed up, and the attachments never work, so they're temporary.
They don't fill us. They're not lasting. They don't fill. And what is it that we're all really seeking? Is that sense of love, of that connection, as that is at our essence. And when we get there, when we go within, and you're talking just in the very beginning of, you're connected with your animals, connected with Clementine, how it brings you a sense of fulfillment. It brings you, why is that? Because you're connecting with something that's loving, that is making you feel love, and you're feeling it. You're articulating that you actually feel this. And so it's really bringing us back to love. And isn't that what we're all really seeking? Is that eternal connection of being loved. And of course, with that, of course, we're always worthy, and we're always of, a precious, precious, precious. So it's really speaking to closing that gap, because when we come back into that connection, we are filled with a sense of joy, a sense of peace, a feeling love, a feeling that all is well. Even if things aren't always looking that way, we know that we're held and cared for. We have that trust, and it's coming back into that beautiful affirmation of love.
Yes, love is at the root. Self-love, love of another. When you were talking, I was being reminded of moments where I felt that I call it unconditional love, because it is actually love. I mean, I call it that because it feels different than the love I would thought was love that I was feeling every day. But the unconditional love, I remember those moments, and it would come over me, and I would feel this deep, deep, deep connection with people I don't know. So one time I walked into a store and I was overwhelmed with it, not in a bad way. It just, I felt it from every inch of me that
Mm,
I am deeply connected to every single person in this store. And I felt just gratitude and grace and love. And I didn't know anybody. It wasn't
mhm,
like this is someone that I've been with and built up a relationship with. And it happened also when I was sitting in the parking lot. I just finished going grocery shopping. And everyone that drove by, I felt a connection with. And I love and honoring that everyone is here.
mhm, mhm,
Like nobody knows what they're doing. Nobody knows that the incredibleness and the difficulty it is to come into a human body and live out a life here in the physical plane. There is suffering. There is highs and lows. There is the joy. There's also the sadness. There's the grief. There's the shame of growing up in our society. And nobody knows what an incredible job that they're all doing because they're just unaware and they're just surviving, or they're not feeling that, knowing that they're doing this incredible job. But I have connected so much around, and I share this with my clients. My focus is always what's in the way of
mhm.
that deep connection, of that love. And we don't have to go into it now. There's a lot of things that are in the way. And I think we should do a video on it. Because there's common things that are in the way for a lot of people, our conditioning being number one. But um the the difficulty it is just to come into the body and go through what we go through on a daily basis, financially, emotionally, physically, whether you're leaving early from an illness or you're living out your life. Everybody goes through it. So my passion and my mission is to help people to know and to get things out of the way so they can know. We talked about this, heaven on earth. We know that unconditional love and can feel it. It is possible for a lot of people, not everybody, but a lot of people to feel it.
Mhm. You're reminding me that, we're all in this together. We're all together, each on our own path, but you're right. We're all popping into, dropped into this realm and kind of flying blind um and trying to get back to where we came from, which was unconditional love from the other side, which we can get back to. And you're speaking about clearing, taking away, lifting off those layers so that you can get there. And how do you get there? I mean, you gave a beautiful example again this morning. How do we get there? Little by little. We take it little. We connect with an animal. We connect. I went walking in amongst the mountains in the desert and was seeing all the beauty of the saguaros, and the sun was coming up and it was dancing across the canyons, and all those little pieces. You just grow this little bit and you focus on it. What we pay attention to, our energy goes to, and we actually
Right.
grow that love, and then it just radiates and gets bigger and bigger and bigger.
You're right. It doesn't happen automatically. I did a lot of soul searching, and I did a lot of reflecting, and I did a lot of healing work to feel that every bit of it was worth it to
Mhm.
in opening up to my gifts. And that's also the other thing waiting for everybody is their gifts.
Mhm.
Um, but every single bit of it was
Mhm.
worth it. There's no doubt that we are here to open up to who we truly are and to have the experiences that we're having, because it's on the other side is pure love and unconditional love, and we know that and we receive that when we're there. So we've come down here to experience something adverse, something that will create suffering, something that will have create grief. People have loss, whatever it is that the situation or the environment, that's what we've come here to do. But so there are no mistakes.
Mhm.
There's no mistakes because it's all for learning for our higher self and our soul. And I heard that very plainly
Mhm.
from my out of body experience. Like there's no mistakes.
Mhm.
There's no regrets because there's no mistakes.
Mhm. And I'm hearing as you're speaking, Beth, I'm hearing seek and you will find. So
Mm.
you hang, everyone, all of us, you and I, all of you out there, you hang in there, you keep pursuing because, and you keep looking for that. Don't give up on yourself because you will find it. It
Yes.
is waiting for you. You are worthy. And when you seek, it will come.
Yeah. And I love what you said about step by step. Like
Mhm.
it's overwhelming, but you do see little strives that can happen, and you can see changes that go on if you are willing to put the time into yourself. That's really what it is, saying um I'm worthy enough to help myself rid of whatever obstacles are in the way of my pure connection and feeling
Mhm.
that unconditional love. And it's step by step, and it's even
Mhm.
if it's just sitting with a cup of coffee, not looking at your phone, or if it's taking a walk and looking around, and you get to decide what's right for you. I mean, when I began this soul journey, they would say, you have to sit, you have to meditate, you have to sit and meditate. And I learned how to sit and meditate. And now I'm always meditating
Mhm.
in a sense of I'm open and aware of my thoughts. That's half the reason to meditate. And I was remembering this comic strip that I saw where it said, if you don't have time to meditate, then you should do it twice a day. And I get the point of that, and it's funny, but and it's true. But it doesn't have to be
So scripted.
a meta,
Yeah.
yeah, so scripted. It doesn't have to be I'm gonna sit here. It's just about turning off for as long as you can, 5 minutes, half hour, couple hours, the distractions, the social media, or the you
The
know,
list, the list that we all make, right? All the things we have to do.
yes, or the
Mhm.
distractions, or the addictions, or whatever it is, just for and just start asking yourself questions.
Mhm.
Why do I do that? And then the question I always like to give people is, how is that helping me?
Mhm.
And from the best behaviors and intentions to the worst behaviors and intentions, it's all helping.
Mhm.
It's all helping because even let's just say, a bad intention or a bad behavior is helping you to be aware of
Mhm.
yourself. And if you can, if it's possible, there are certain people on our planet who brains don't have the capacity for self-awareness. So it's not that everybody can get there. There are narcissists and there are psychopaths and there are people who's cannot get there. They cannot be helped. You cannot help them. And part of the journey is also knowing that if you come across them. But it's a self journey in the end.
I love what you said about turning off because to turn off and to turn inward
Yeah.
and to sit with yourself like you're saying and like why am I getting that thought? Why am I thinking about this? Asking questions because we know when we ask the questions we're always getting answered. And we can take that information and it helps to move us along. It helps us to close that gap. It helps us to come back into that connection like we were talking about in the beginning.
Yes. My body is vibrating just talking about this,
Mm.
which is why I like to do these videos. It's the talking about it. If you feel alone, or if you, are on the spiritual journey and you're in the process of releasing attachments, like we were talking about, or you're just beginning, find a group, find a friend, find someone. Berit and I found each other, not coincidentally, for the work that we do, but talk about it, immerse yourself in in reading or listening or spending time alone, whatever it is, and not alone, but with yourself in a positive way or with nature. But our physical world is so distracting that we have good intentions and we want to get to that deep connection and that unconditional love, but we keep getting pulled away. There's so much chaos going on in our world. There's so much happening. We don't, and then bombarded with it that we don't, we have to turn it off. We have to turn it on, but what do we turn on?
Mm-hmm.
Turn on sitting with a cup of coffee. We turn on going outside and just look at the grass, look at or be with nature, take a walk, be with your animal, whatever it is. If we don't turn it off, we're just going to get absorbed into those attachments and distractions and not get to the place where we can just start taking steps.
Mm-hmm.
That's all we need to do, step by step.
Beautiful.
Yeah. All right. So let's end it here. And in our next video, we're going to talk about, I'm absorbed in this energy, so I don't even remember what I was saying, the obstacles. We're going to talk about,
what are the layers? What are the layers?
Yeah. What is in the way? How can we help you get out of your own way so you can start to take those steps? So have an amazing, wonderful afternoon, and till next time, and step by step.